We're starting with new developments in a story the entire country has been following. Otto Warmbier, the American college student just released from a North Korean prison, has now died. The 22-year-old returned to the United States last week, but was unable to talk, move in any purposeful way, or respond to verbal communication. He spent more than 17 months detained in North Korea, and officials there say botulism was to blame for his condition. But U.S. doctors said they found no evidence of that illness. An Enderlin man will be behind bars for 4 years after he was involved in a car crash that killed a 16-year-old boy. Ethan Stensgaard was sentenced today after being convicted of third-degree criminal vehicular homicide in the October 2016 death of Carter Peterson. Court documents say Stensgaard had been drinking that night and did not stop at a stop sign, which led to Peterson's death. Peterson's father was one of the first responders on the scene of the crash. Stensgaard's blood alcohol level at that time of the crash was 0.23%. A North Dakota man is fighting for his life in a Fargo hospital after nearly drowning in a slough over the weekend. Authorities say 57-year-old William Vandervoort was swimming in the northwestern part of the Craft Slough near Oaks around 6 last night when friends reported him missing. Officials with the Sargent County Sheriff's Office say Vandervoort had been in the water for nearly 20 minutes before he was pulled out. He was taken to a local hospital before being airlifted to Fargo. Sanford officials say he's still in their care, but they are not able to give an update on his condition at this time. Investigators say they don't suspect foul play at this point, but the investigation is ongoing. More of the same today with hit and miss showers around the area, but Hutch, not for everyone, right?
That's the way things are shaping up. And in fact, if you're in northeast North Dakota, you're in the area with the best chance for some passing showers and thunderstorms. A few rumbles of those making their way through the Devil's Lake area on up toward Langdon right now. Taking you in a little bit closer, we see the cells moving into northwestern Wells County near Harvey. Much of Benson County seeing some showers. Maddock all the way to the Big Lake. If you're on the lake, expect some brief gusty winds and brief heavy rain, but most of the lightning is south of you. Also up near Langdon, we're seeing a few showers producing some thunder and lightning. Those are all moving east-southeast at around 25 to 30 miles per hour and will continue to move through the northern Red River Valley. We cannot rule out a thunder shower here in the FM area as temperatures slip out of the 70s and into the 60s. A pretty comfortable evening with a little bit of a continuing northwest breeze. Coming up, a little bit of a warming trend, and we will have thunderstorms return to the forecast. I'll have details on what you can expect for the rest of our work week ahead here in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
A Grand Forks man is facing charges after crashing into a home early this morning. Police say 32-year-old Jason Pellet crashed through the basement window around 12:30 in the morning. The car rammed through the side of this home on the 2100 block of 7th Avenue Northwest. The car reportedly drove off the road, hit a fence, and then struck the house. Pellet initially took off, but was arrested a few hours later for reckless driving and fleeing the scene of the crash. No one was hurt, and police say that alcohol is not a factor. A woman is facing DUI and drug possession charges after being rear-ended by a semi. The North Dakota Highway Patrol says both the vehicles were heading east on Highway 52 just outside Carrington last night. They say 56-year-old Francis Gasper was driving a van when the hood unhooked and blew up against the windshield. The semi-driver tried to avoid the van but ended up rear-ending it, sending them both into the ditch. Gasper had to be cut out of the van by first responders. She was taken to the Carrington Hospital. The semi-driver was not hurt. The Grand Forks Police Department is putting out another warning to lock up your garages, vehicles, and homes after several more burglary reports in the southeast part of town. Officials say in the past 4 days, they have gotten multiple reports of burglaries in the Shady Ridge and Adams Drive areas, and this is the second warning they have put out for those sections of town. They're asking anyone with home security systems to check their footage from the past weekend. If you find anything unusual, you can contact police at 701-787-8013. The driver of a car that rammed a law enforcement vehicle in a popular tourist attraction in Paris has been killed. And the Paris prosecutor's office has opened an anti-terror investigation into that incident. Officials say that a suspected attacker drove into a police vehicle on the Champs-Élysées shopping district and later died from his injuries. Investigators say the car contained weapons and enough explosives to blow up his car. It's the 5th time in 4 months that security forces have been attacked in the French capital. The Supreme Court is planning to take up a critical gerrymandering case. The High Court made the announcement earlier today. In political terms, gerrymandering refers to setting up congressional or legislative districts to benefit a party or group. And the court will review a case from Wisconsin where critics say the state's districts were drawn unconstitutionally to benefit Republicans. The court will consider whether gerrymandered election maps are in fact constitutional. Experts say the ruling could change the way U.S. elections are conducted. The justice will hear the case when their term begins this fall. A special election in Grand Forks is coming to decide the fate of a city park. Some want to develop Arbor Park into an apartment complex to further grow downtown Grand Forks. However, there was tremendous pushback from the arts community when the plans rolled out. Tomorrow, a yes vote will save the park, and a no vote will mean opening up to development. Tonight at 6, hear what both votes could mean for the future of downtown Grand Forks.
Anything's possible. I've got cracks along my, cracks in the walls, holes in the walls. It's very easy for a bug to crawl through.
Bed bugs. Many of us hear that and instantly cringe. A whistleblower contacted our hotline saying they're being slapped with a $1,200 bill for bed bug treatment. That same treatment damaged their apartment walls, kitchen, and carpeting. They want to know why the cost is so high, saying their rental company has turned them over to collections. Valley News Team's Bradford Eric tells us it's a buyer beware situation. Know what you're potentially going to have to pay for when you're looking to move.
Frustrating because I was like, well, when they say, well, you can't, you got to box things that can't be heated. It's like, well, what's the things that can't be heated?
Earlier this year, Stephanie Walters says she found a bug crawling in her first floor apartment, put it in a bag, and called her landlord. They showed up with a pest control expert. It was bed bugs.
You know, these are all the rules of what we would have to do. Like, we wouldn't bag anything. They said that they were going to heat up our apartment between 120 or more.
They moved their furniture away from the walls and waited until the treatment was done. But it worked maybe a little too well.
They left some damages, like my carpet over there is sticking up. That line where it shows on the wall, that was never there when I moved in.
The counter edges are splitting apart, the microwave handle cracked, and a bedroom wall cracked too, along with more carpet issues. Stephanie Walters says it's not that she wouldn't pay for the treatment out of her pocket, but she wanted to know why it was so expensive when friends and family had only paid several $100s in similar situations. I reached out to Property Resources Group, who told me they wouldn't talk on camera, but that I had to submit my questions in an email. They tell me they take extermination very seriously. They, quote, have a clause that leaseholders will be charged for pest extermination if it's a special service, and that they use one exterminator, something, quote, typical for most management companies. Bradford Eric, Valley News Live.
Some things you can do when looking for a new apartment. Make sure any pest control treatment is spelled out in the lease. If it's not, have a conversation with your landlord about it. And don't be afraid to request quotes from other exterminators to make sure you're not being overcharged. And if you're wondering about what your rental rights are or what bills you could be stuck with at your apartment or rental property, call our whistleblower hotline at 237-6576 and leave your tip. A member of our investigative team will get on the case and go to work to expose the truth. It'll be a night full of Bison pride and entertainment. The 11th annual Bison Arts Gala is happening tomorrow night at the Sanctuary Events Center. The Bison Arts singers will perform renditions of Beatles classics. Money raised will go towards scholarships for students in the performing arts.
And from our standpoint, we're able to recruit talent that allows us to do full-blown operas, classical oratorios, great band concerts, fabulous theater.
For more information on tomorrow's event, go to valleynewslive.com and click on our hot button. He's a world-class hockey star with 3 up-close and personal dates with the Stanley Cup on his resume. He's also a man who hasn't forgotten where home is, and now Matt Cullen is giving back to the community that gave him his start. Today, Cullen is back in the Fargo-Moorhead area to get a first look at a special section of the new Sanford Hospital that bears his name. It's called Cully's Kids Cabin, a space designed specifically for children. And of course, it has a strong hockey theme, but it's centered around the cabin-like design that you might find in Minnesota or North Dakota outdoors. The Cullens say after looking at drawings and proposals as the cabin was being developed, they're thrilled to see it come to life.
No kid should go through what a lot of these kids are going through, and it's really nice to be able to help provide a space where they can just be kids and forget about what they're fighting for a little while.
You'll be able to get a look at the cabin and the rest of the new Sanford Hospital later this week. A community open house is scheduled for Thursday. The Cullens Foundation donated $1 million for this project. This is a big day for area golfers, and in particular, those of you who are fans of Fargo's Rose Creek course. All 18 holes are open for play again as of today. And what better way to get things started than with a ceremonial tee-off? Most of the back nine has been closed for about a year because of a flood protection project. That project is a dike that runs east and west through the course, and the course has been reconfigured to accommodate it. Matt Cook, the head pro at Rose Creek, says all of this should make it a bit more challenging.
Most of the courses when you play in the Fargo-Moorhead area, we don't have a lot of elevation. And so for us on that back side with that levee, they brought in a lot of material. There's a lot of movement to that, and therefore there's a lot of uneven lies. It really is kind of unique back there. It's something different than what we didn't have as far as on our existing 18. And so I think that itself will be kind of exciting.
The driving range is again open as well, and Cook says it's longer than it was before. Cook says the reconfigured course is actually open a couple of months earlier than he thought it would.